Ladies and gentlemen, today is Monday, April 14th, 2014. And this is the KNKL Show, episode 179, where we learn to be better artists. I'm your host, Keenan Lafferty, and today we're going to be talking about refining your digital clay. But before we get into that, we're going to take a stroll down the long overdue lovely lane, because you guys have been freaking awesome out there and submitting your stuff to the Facebook. And for those of you who have not come out of your shells quite yet, please click the link down below if you're watching on YouTube. You can join us, become one of us, and submit your art. And yeah, it's freaking awesome and get featured on the show. Also, I will be updating everybody as to when I am streaming on the Facebook as well on the Twitter and all that good stuff. So yeah, if you haven't done so, go ahead and do it now. And last but not least, before we get into the tutorial, I want to say thank you to everyone who has been pledging on the Patreon. You guys are freaking awesome. If you would like to join us, join the Emma Army and get cool Emma stuff, just click that link down below or click that button in the bottom right. It says Get Emma Stuff. How about that? And I'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of today's episode, because it is time for us to get into the tutorial. So, let's take a look at this. Whoa, what's a giant dinner scene? A big dinner scene from the game entitled Pauldron that I'm working on for my awesome client, who has given me permission to show all these things on the stream, or on the show. And we have this massive dinner party thing going on. And you might be asking me, Keenan, how the heck do you go about even coming up with how you're going to lay this out? How you're going to make the perspective look right? And how all the people are going to be interacting with each other and their faces and expressions and all that stuff. How do you do that? How do you sculpt that out of digital clay? And today I'm going to show you how to do that via some time-lapse. But before we get into that time-lapse, we actually have something else. Because my good friend and my client actually started me off right. He started me off right with being a good director. Okay? People that are doing commissions, keep this in mind. If you want a complicated scene, it helps the artist so much to do something like this. Laying out the scene, drawing, even if it's just stick figures. This was absolutely amazing for me. Just being able to see the expressions, the placements, and the overall feel of the scene. So that's what we started with first. Okay? That's what my client sent me. And now we're going to go ahead and move into the time-lapse. So let's get started. Let's get started. And yes, the game is called King's Lance, aka Pauldron. And it is an upcoming, sort of like a motion comic interactive game for the iPad. And it's going to be freaking awesome. And we're going to start things off right with one of my favorite things in the world, perspective. One of my least favorite things. But, like, I realized very quickly that, hey, if I'm going to start doing these backgrounds in the comic, if I'm going to start, like, looking like I know half of what I'm doing with these scenes, I'm going to have to learn how to lay this stuff out. And to be honest, after I got a couple books on it, like Perspective for Comic Book Artists by David Chelsea, highly recommend that one. You can pick that up at your Barnes & Noble local bookstore. That's one of the best ones I've seen out there that really just lays out the exact rules and tells you some of the ways that you can kind of take some shortcuts. But I think it's really good to know the actual way to do it, the proper way to do it, and how it just works. So I was laying out this scene, just seeing how it was going to look when it was actually like cropped in. And originally this panel was going to be, quite small. And very quickly I realized, usually I do 4 on a page like this, right? Because these are designed to, these are basically just designed to get a feel for what the final product is going to be on the iPad with the panning images and the parallaxing and all that good stuff. And originally this was going to be quite a small panel, right? Tiny little panel. But I realized after a little while that these characters and the amount of detail in this, like, for me to even just like draw it, we're gonna have to like make it, the whole page. So I just like you saw me do, I expanded the panel to be the whole page, and now I'm going to begin laying out my characters. I'm laying out my characters. I'm taking the giant lump of clay, slapping it on top of the desk, and now I'm going to begin refining. And this has a lot to do with addition and subtraction. I'm not talking about math. I'm talking about addition with your brushes and subtraction with your eraser. You can see that's basically how I'm going about doing all of these things. You can see all the way up in here. Oh, actually, I like that one more. I like that one more because it doesn't show the actual play button. That's nice. Yeah, we'll keep it like that. We'll roll with that. But watch as I kind of sketch in this character, and I want you to notice, more than anything, how simple this guy is. And this is something I'm constantly telling you guys to do in your own art. Don't get caught up in laying down the exact line that's going to be there at the end. You know, get comfortable with just like sketching in shapes, laying out the shapes, right? Lay out the shapes. Don't draw stick figures. I really don't like the dot to dot system because you don't get a sense of volume. You can't kind of like, you can't plan out forced perspective or like foreshortening, right? Like with a fist coming at you. If it's like a stick, it doesn't matter where my arm is going. It's still a line coming at you. And maybe that's the reason why I don't like that sort of technique. So lay out the shapes. Lay out your shapes. All that good stuff. And first, what I like to do when I'm laying out emotions and expressions is I like to do just little dot eyes, 2 little dot eyes, and then just the mouth. And, you know, you get the little triangle mouth when they're happy, open mouth if they're just like talking. And another reason why I like working with shapes like this is because it allows you to see it allows you to basically like lay down the body language. And that's something that's so important in art. So it's so important in my art, and it's just becoming more important the more I learn about it. Because there's a difference between somebody, you know, talking like this and then talking like this, right? Just that relationship with the head to the shoulders says so much more about what the character is feeling, what they're talking about, their attitude, and all that good stuff, you know? Like, if the head is down, it could be more aggressive. It could be more timid. It tends to take on a little bit more of like a negative connotation, you know, or like someone's concentrating on something. But if their head is like above them, you know, above the shoulders, raised up, produces a lot more like positive, you know, confidence. It could even be overconfidence, you know, belligerence. But I really think that those things you can't get. You can't get that if you're like, okay, well, now I'm going to draw the face. I'm going to start with the eye, right? I'm going to draw a belligerent eye. And I'm going to draw a belligerent nostril, right? You can't do that. You have to just basically, I almost think of it like a snowman. You just like slap the head of the snowman on top of the body and just like move all the body parts around to get the body language that you want. And then you're going to begin doing what I'm doing right here. And that is refining. Addition and subtraction. Addition with the brush, you know, lasso and stuff, just moving it around. Work messy here. This is the time for you to work messy. And then just erase it and just modify it. And yeah, refine it. This is what we're talking about. Refining your digital clay. I really like to think of it as clay because that's really what I feel like what I'm doing here. More than anything when I'm working with digital. I just feel like I'm laying down stuff with the brush and just like erasing shapes and details out of it to create value. And that's really what I'm doing here is I'm creating values. And I'm making sure that everything is clear. Like notice how, you know, this person is very nicely silhouetted against a white background. What about these characters and their chairs? Like this value back here needs to be a little bit darker than the armor of the guy that's sitting in front of it. Otherwise, his armor is just going to like blend in with the chair. He's going to look like he's like see-through or something. You're like coming out of the chair. Or it's just like this chair is just a black hole that sucks everything into it that possibly sit in it. And that would be very bad. That would not be a very effective chair. But yeah, that's all I'm doing. I'm not worrying too much about lighting. Mostly like an ambient, you know, over, you know, like top lighting. But more than anything is I'm just looking for clarity in this piece, especially since this piece has like 20 characters. Counting the monkey, which you will see later. I'm going to be drawing a monkey in here. He's running around, you know, you got the kids under the table, you got the people, you know, over here feasting on, you know, the turkey and all that good stuff, having a good time. Some dudes in the background, you know, but there's 20 characters in this. And that's something that I've actually never done before. I've never drawn that many characters in one piece before. So figured, hey, let's give it a shot. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. And yeah, I wasn't worrying too much about details. I was really focusing on, like, one of the things I really like to do, and you'll notice that I do with all the faces, it's like, how do you draw a small eye? How do you draw a small eye on a person? And I don't. I just draw, like, the shadows that's being casted from the brow down to the cheek. And then that creates the eye. And then draw the eyebrow over top to create some expression for it. But don't draw eyes. When you're working this small, you know, when you're working with that much detail and it's kind of a pulled back piece, you can create eyes on people just by making like dots. So think about the shadows that are being casted. I really like to do that stuff. Because we're trained as humans. We are trained to just recognize that. Because we see it. We see it all the time. We see that cast shadow that's going on in people's eyes. We don't have to actually see their eyes. Yeah, and it just makes it so much nicer not having to do that stuff. But that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother area that I still have to study and just work with, because I've seen some amazing artists just like do some amazing stuff with, like, I love it when you can have little detail, like small details in something. Like, it's not super complicated, but it just gets the point across. Like, you can tell the emotion in this guy's face, even though it's just super small, super far away, and you can tell the emotion in her face, and this guy, and this guy, and you're like asking yourself, I wonder what they're talking about. And then you can kind of get an idea of it just because of the expressions, the body language, and it's basically what I like to call bang for your buck. I love to come up with art styles. I love to look at art in general that just has, it gives you a feeling, but it's not very complicated. It's not very hard to do. It's very stylized. It's very calculated. It's calculated, and it's almost just been improved upon so much that it's exactly what you need and no more. Like, everything, all the fat's just been stripped off of it, and all you're left with is the meat and potatoes, right? That's the kind of art that I like. And that's kind of what I strive for with my art in the comic, because I love doing simple stuff. And I'm learning about backgrounds. I'm figuring out, okay, where does this background exactly need to be? What colors do I need to be using here? How can I refine this to the point where, does this even need to be in this panel? There's all kinds of things that are going through my head with, I'm not thinking in terms of what can I add to this? What can I add to this? I keep asking myself, how can I get the same feeling, the same message across, and then take away maybe some of the stuff that doesn't need to be there? Because as you create a more efficient routine and efficient technique, you're able to create more, right? You're able to produce more quantity with the same quality. And that's what we're all about. So, anyway, let's get back to the task at hand. And I hope that you guys, I'm really glad that there's so many characters in this piece, because I hope that you guys will be able to kind of rewind and watch and just watch how I do this. Like, I just lay out these shapes, and then I just go back in and erase and kind of create the details within it. And I'm thinking really in terms of just like, hey, here's the silhouette, here's the general idea of what I want the character to be like with these shapes, and then you'll see me go in and I'll start to refine it. And I really hope that this gives you a good idea of a little bit more of my technique, and hopefully maybe you can try it out for yourself, see if it works for you. And I'm thinking about going into a little bit more detail throughout the rest of this week, because I am working on another commission for another client, and but now we'll just focus on one character. You've seen me do 20 of these characters in sort of like a more sketchy type of storyboard type of style. But now let me show you how, later on this week, how I go on refining one character. So, anyway, you might be curious as to who these characters are and what they're from. I'll just kind of tell you a little bit of their story. This is John. He hails from Westrock. This game is a very sort of like a fantasy meets King of Thrones type of thing. It's got a really cool story, and I love all the characters so far. I'm really enjoying illustrating them. It's really awesome. Really. So yeah, this is John, and this is I totally forget this guy's name, but they're totally eyeballing. They're eyeballing Marcus's son, and he's flirting with John's daughter over there, and her name is Yvette. She's a cute little girl, and yeah, you're gonna see me refine them in just a second. I love this guy's armor because he's got like these antler-looking things that are coming up from his shoulders. Almost reminds me of like a druid from World of Warcraft. Really like that a lot. And this is Demas. He's another one of my favorite characters. I'm actually gonna pull up one of his. Actually, pull up their thing as we're looking at it. All right, so this is Demas. All right, that's our character right there. And then Marcus, who you guys have seen before, he's right here. He's actually the guard to the king and the queen. But before we moved it, now we're working on the monkey. I don't have any reference of the monkey, unfortunately. But this is Marcus right here. And for those of you who are curious about how I go about painting a face like this, or like making a portrait like this, just search adding color to a grayscale portrait, and then you'll see me working on those portraits of Marcus, and I think a little bit of Demas too, if you guys like that style. But anyway, refining the monkey. I actually pulled up a reference of Spike from Ace Ventura, because I was like, we should make him a spider monkey. And then, of course, I give him a fez, because, I don't know, just ever since Aladdin, man, monkeys with fezzes just always work. They always work. Maybe they worked before that, I don't know, but before that I never paid attention to them. So we got the kids running underneath the table, chasing the monkey around. Gotta love that. We got some cooked zebra over here on the right side of the table, or our right. Got some pumpkins. Got a freaking turkey over here. It's really good. Seems like everybody seems to be enjoying themselves. This is William also. Let me pull up that. Where is our friend William? Where is our friend William? William is Marcus's brother, and he's basically like the handsome chap. He's the handsome chap. He's kind of the lady killer, and I really like William too. He's really cool. He's friends with Marcus's son, who helps him joust, who helps him win a joust. But I don't want to give away too much of the story because that would be bad. So that's the end of the time lapse. Let's just take one more walk through this little scene here, and then we're going to go ahead and end today's show after my little announcement. So yeah, let's go ahead and just take a little look here, take a little look-see. I'll go ahead and just play this through. After all this, I've actually done a tutorial on doing parallaxing scenes within Photoshop. You guys can take a look at that too. That tickles your fancy. But yeah, I was really happy with this. And I really want you guys to mostly pay attention to just the values. Notice how there's a lot of dark values up front here. Background just gets lighter. Super background gets super light. That's basically like a rule of thumb that I always work with. Just the rule goes, the closer something is to you, the less atmosphere is in your way. So the shadows will appear darker. So just in general, I work with darker values as anything gets closer to you. So I think we're going to be good with that. We're going to be good with that. We are good. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about before I take off, guys, is with the Patreon, I just want to say, you know, you guys know you're freaking awesome, and I appreciate you guys contributing. Like, it's so awesome. 100 of you out there have stepped up and have become patrons. And I figure, hey, it's high time that I give something back to you guys. I mean, I've been giving you guys custom prints and all that stuff, but now it's time for something really, really cool, really special. And I think you guys will really enjoy this. I have gone ahead and I have made Emma vinyls and I'm going to be sending it out to everybody who decides to pledge $10 on the Patreon. So you just click that little button down there. $10 on the Patreon gets you one of these stickers. At the end of the month, I will send it to you. You can place it on your vehicle, place it on your computer, your toaster oven, wherever you would like to represent it. But you are becoming one with the Emma movement. You are joining the Emma cult. That sounds kind of scary. But, yes, if you'd like to represent Emma, get one of these cool vinyl stickers. Just click that little button over there, and it will be yours. Pledge 10 bucks. And I'm super excited. Like, man, at the end of this week, we are going to Anaheim. We're going to Anaheim Convention Center in California for another convention. It's called WonderCon. And I'm going to be there. I would love to see you guys out there. If you're going to be there, just know I will be there. Selling prints, selling stuff. I'll have the vinyls there as well. Oh, you can't even see it. But it's there. Rest assured. You guys can get one for yourself. Alright, so thank you guys for joining me for another show, another episode. I'm a little rusty. I can feel it, but it was awesome. It was awesome. You guys take care of yourself. Thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down if you don't. Until next time, take care.